I've been keeping aquariums and fish for quite a long time, usually just a pebble substrate, some common live plants, a few rocks, and some driftwood. I was always pretty vigilant with my water changes. Every now and then they would slide for a few weeks, but I would say I still get one done at least once a month. At some stage I started keeping shrimp, just common cherry shrimp. Anyway, their aquariums I found I didn't need regular water change, and sometimes I would go months without even touching the sponge filter. I'm really lazy, so I like this. Around the same time, I started building my first ponds, at first with no filters, and that didn't work too well. Then I built my first bog filter, and boy oh boy, it was like I'd unlocked a cheat code. Clean, clear water every time, no water changes, and hardly any maintenance. I kept learning more and more about filtration. I even tried the anoxic filter. I didn't like it. I went back to a bog filter. Then I came across the Wallstead method, Father Fish, and lots of other people who were adding dirt to their tanks. I loved this idea. The aquarium was instantly ready for fish, there was lots of plants, and you had a complete ecosystem. I wondered, would this work in a pond? I'd always been taught that we wanted low nutrients in our ponds and aquariums. So I started off small. I built a tiny pond in a small plant pot, first a layer of dirt, then some sand, a few plants, and some hardscape. I carefully added water so I didn't disturb the sand capping. The water was a little cloudy, but it cleared after a few days. Then I added some cherry shrimp. So that was almost a year ago. The shrimp have bred. I haven't done a single water change, just topped up water loss to evaporation. It's never had any algae, but this pond does sit under the roofline, so it gets very little direct sun, and of course the shrimp are great algae eaters. So I knew I needed to set up something bigger and put it in the sun. I had an old wine barrel, so same thing, I put in a layer of dirt, a sand cap, and some plants. This time I added in fish along with the shrimp. I should also mention both setups have no pump, additional filter, nothing. Again, this pond became an instant ecosystem. No ugly stage, no new pond syndrome, no algae, even throughout the summer. It's now winter in Australia, and I have a few of these ponds set up. There's now some algae, mulm and detritus are building up, but the water's still clean and clear. I don't see any fish, but it's bloody cold in the ponds, so I'm not surprised. Anyway, the algae and the detritus isn't really getting out of hand, and it's quite similar to what I see in all my other ponds at this time of year, and they're running filters. I've mentioned many times how lazy I am, and you can see there's still plenty of leaf fall in the ponds that I haven't cleaned up. Even the dream pond has a lot of sediment build up, because I haven't been getting in there and stirring it up. So the interesting thing is, I think the sediments and the organic material are an essential part of the ecosystem. I believe this is why when I build a pond with just rock and pebble, it takes such a long time for the pond to balance itself out and establish an ecosystem. But these dirted ponds established one almost immediately. The soil, sand, and plants are most likely introducing essential nutrients, microorganisms, and bacteria that instantly kickstart the ecosystem. In my established ponds that I didn't add dirt base to, this has taken much longer, as it had to form naturally, and that took time. These layers of mulm or detritus seem to be quite powerful filters. I've noticed in small tubs that I grow my fry in, if I add some mulm, the water stays crystal clear. If I don't, it turns green or grows algae. I wish I had the room to test adding a dirt base on a pond the size of my dream pond, but unfortunately my yard's pretty full now. So the dirt layer doesn't need to be very thick, it seems, but you do need to cap it with a sand layer and prevent it mixing with the water. On one aquarium I busted the sand layer when I was filling it with dirt, and the dirt went everywhere, and the tank grew a ton of algae. I couldn't get it under control, and I just had to start over. When I rebuilt it and I didn't bust the sand layer, I had no issue. Anyway, so far I feel this is a great way to keep aquariums and small ponds. Like I said, I wish I could experiment on a large pond and give a conclusive answer on whether it would speed up the maturing process. My hunch says it would, but I'm not going to add dirt to my existing large ponds as they're now matured and they're only getting better with age. I also want to point out that these systems are low density fish or wildlife ponds. They're not overstocked koi ponds. Anyway, I hope this video gave you something to consider. I hope it was helpful and my waffle on wasn't too boring. I'll put links in the description if you want to see how these dirted no filter ponds were set up. Thanks for watching. See ya.